The Golden Oldies, the biggest contingent of Australian sportsmen to ever leave these shores, set out this week for the Golden Oldies Rugby Festival in London. Almost 7,000 players and supporters from around the world will converge on hallowed Twickenham and rugby grounds thereabouts in London to talk about old times and try to get those old legs moving the way they used to. And I think, Ian, it should be a bonanza time for the National Health System over there. It'll be stretched to the limit. Actually, one of the groups from here in Sydney, the Funnel Webs from Linfield, north of Sydney, even have their own tour guide out.
One of my mates is playing over there, Bruce Clark, who is an Australian, but he's been living in London for about 15 years. And he was in heavy training when I was over there. He took me for a run. We were over in France at a race meeting there, and he had a couple of runners going. But Clark, he said, come on, we've got to get out there and run in the morning. I've got to play in the Golden Oldies. So he'll be doing battle. All right, in Sydney this week, on the eve of their departure, Patrick Lindsay spoke to the boys from Drummoyne, the old Dirty Reds.
Pointerman. Steve Williams is with him. Pointerman, can he do it again? Simon Pointerman! Yes!
Inspired by the Australian Wallabies' record-breaking Grand Slam tour of Britain last year, another contingent of rugby players is following in their footsteps, determined to leave their mark on the game's headquarters. These seasoned veterans come from a club with a proud heritage. It's produced 33 Australian internationals and 3 Wallaby captains. We join them at their final training session before they set off for the old dart. And the mood is uncompromising.
This is our last chance to get a fair income training run. We all know what our job is. Chapo, you know what your job is on the side of the scrum? Yeah. You're breaking quick, getting around there. Barry, line-outs, off the ground, giving them some hurry up. We've got to be serious about it. I think now we should go to our most important exercise, and we should start right on now. Very good.
These are the men from the Vintage Reds, the Golden Oldies team from the Drummoyne Rugby Club.
72, I think.
72? Oh, very nice.
They're preparing for the 4th International Golden Oldies Rugby Festival, being held this week at Rugby's headquarters at Twickenham in London. They'll be one of more than 150 teams, more than 4,000 players from all around the world making the pilgrimage. Golden Oldies are rugby players 35 years or older who gather together every 2 years for fun and friendship.
People can live a bit of the old days and renew the friendships that they used to years ago and still do those funny little things that you used to do before and after the game. And I think that's the attraction. It's the meeting of the old friends and just reliving all those old memories. Those old memories up until a while ago, now you can relive them, and they're real.
It's real, all right. And realising they have certain shortcomings in speed round the field, the Vintage Reds are going to London with an arsenal of dirty tricks.
We're going to pick the most handsome bloke here in the club.
Not an easy task.
Not an easy task, but his tactics will be to find out the opposing team's captain's wife, take her to bed for the evening to find out what the tactics will be for the next day.
They're taking a halfback with a trick knee.
But I blew one knee, so I can only go one way now, so they call me One-Way Jack, and I love it.
Not to mention an unmentionable secret scrum weapon. They're taking a major technological advance on the magic sponge.
Wait! Johnny! Wait!
I think he's coming round.
Well, here's a bit of medicine. Right, let's go!
They'll be taking their cunningly disguised line-out signals.
Red wine is to the front, white wine is to the centre, 5 or beyond, and any other call, Coca-Cola, Johnny Walker, is over the back. Simple. Hunter Valley Claret from Penfolds, 1974. Oh, look at that.
And their carefully planted resuscitation supplies. But the Vintage Reds know they'll spend most of their time at the Golden Oldies Festival doing what they've spent most of their rugby careers perfecting. A few songs, a few laughs, and a few lies. And so those of us for whom the blush of youth is a new brand of perfume salute the golden oldies, men refusing to bow their heads to the tyranny of age.
Believe me, there were no other amusements or games to play to pass the night away. Don't ask me why I did it. I must have been lonely, stupid or blind, but I know that it seemed like a good idea at the time. But I know that it seemed like a good idea at the time.
The ultimate nostalgia trip, the golden oldies, and the little halfback there, Jolly Jack, he's a mate of ours, and if Jolly likes you, what he does, he takes out his denture and drops it in your glass of beer while you're having a drink with him, and that's Jolly's ultimate sign of affection.
That's one good reason to drink out of a bottle, not out of a glass.
When you were Jolly Jack, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I really offended Clarkey, you know, when we were over in London. He told me he was getting ready for this, for the golden oldies, and I said, what, are you going to be wearing the golden shorts so as they can't tackle you? And he then proceeded to tackle me. He was most upset by that comment.
Actually, I was talking to a woman, her husband flew to London the other day, and he was a businessman, you know, looking well, forward to getting there, but I mean, he knew it's a long flight. 3 teams of golden oldies got on the flight. He just looked at his wife and said, my God. He said, it could be worse, though. He said, imagine an old couple who waited all their lives to go to England on a holiday and ran into 3 teams of golden oldies.
That would be pretty bad, wouldn't it?